What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Money Mondays with Midas. And I got a very electrifying one for y'all. But y'all know what it is. I'm going to get into that right after the intro. Okay, okay. All right. Okay, so what I got going on for y'all, man, a brand new article came out, I want to say a couple days ago, actually. It came out a couple days ago talking about how why the electric vehicle boom could put a major strain on the U.S. power grid. So I definitely want to talk about uh, the EVs and possible future for electricity. So I know they're definitely, at least around where I live, I've seen a whole bunch of those power towers that have the wires hanging from tower to tower. I've seen a bunch of those coming down and getting replaced. So I definitely see a lot of upgrades happening going on. I've seen a huge influx of fiber going in as well. So let's get into this article. And like always, I'm gonna put the link to this article in the description. All right, this article, "Why the Electric Vehicle Boom Could Put a Major Strain on the U.S. Power Grid" by Katie Bridgham. And this is on CNBC.com. All right. Over half of all new cars sold in the U.S. by 2030 are expected to be electric vehicles. That could put a major strain on our nation's electric grid, an aging system built for a world that runs on fossil fuels. Domestic electricity demand in 2022 is expected to increase up to 18% by 2030 and 38% by 2035. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I will research it as well or look it back up, but I believe California, I believe it was 2025 or 2030, something like that. They're no longer going to sell gasoline vehicles. It's not to say that you can't have them, but nobody will be allowed to sell gasoline cars within the state of California. So I'll look that up to verify that. According to an analyst by the Rapid Energy Policy Evaluation and Analyst Toolkit, or REPEAT, an energy policy project out of Princeton University, that's a big change over roughly 5% increase we saw in the past decade. So we've got a lot of power demand coming to this country when we really didn't have any for the last like 25 years, said Rod Grimlich, founder and president of Grid Strategies, a transmission policy group. While many parts of the economy are moving away from fossil fuels toward electrification, think household appliances such as stoves and space heating for homes and offices. The transportation sector is driving the increase. Light duty vehicles, a segment that excludes large trucks and aviation, are projected to use up 3,360% more electricity by 2035 than they do today, according to Princeton's data. And you know what? I can actually see that. Everybody should, at this point, should have seen Amazon's new delivery trucks. You know, the space age looking trucks. That's all electricity, and so they got a bunch of those. So I can definitely see the light duty vehicles, you know, taking up a lot of electricity. And then you have the new F-150s are now electric. The new Hummer is electric. I mean, there's so much new electrified vehicles coming out. The Mustang, I think it's like a Mustang SUV or a Mustang truck or something like that. That's electric. So, but electrification is only an effective decarbonization solution if it's paired with a major build out of renewable energy. So we have both supply side and demand side drivers of big grid needs, Grimlet said. That means we need major changes to the grid, more high voltage transmission lines to transport electricity from the rural wind and solar power plants to demand centers, smaller distribution lines and transformers for last mile electricity delivery, and hardware such as inverters that allow customers with home batteries, EVs, and solar panels to feed excess energy back into the grid. Okay? If you paying attention to what I just said, I just read off a lot of jobs that are probably coming. They're probably already there, but jobs that are going to be in high demand. Okay. We have to make sure, and I tell you guys all the time, you need to move where the bread move. Okay. The bread isn't always going to be where you're at. It's going to be fun while it lasted. It's going to be great while it lasted. Okay. The bread is moving. Okay. The bread is moving into AI and electricity. This is where the jobs are going to be. So let me read that one more time so you can catch where the jobs are. That means we need a major change. We need major changes to the grid, more high voltage transmission lines to transport electricity from rural wind and solar power plants to demand centers. Okay, so they're going to need people putting in lines, whether it be towers or lines or whatever. They're going to have to build these things to transport the energy over to the demand centers, where the demand center is now going to be the distribution. That's the distribution center. Okay. And then smaller distribution lines and transformers for last mile electricity delivery. So now we're going to need those lines put in place. We're going to need those towers. We're going to need those lines. We're going to need trucks. We're going to need workers. We're going to need all of the equipment, all the tools necessary that's going into building this line of this flow of electricity. Okay. Then it says, and hardware. So now we're into the hardware side of the business. The people that's going to be, probably produce semiconductors and stuff like that. Now they're going to be making inverters. It will actually be wise for Duracell and Energizer to step it the hell up and get in on these batteries. You guys are already battery companies. You're an established battery company. How is it that Tesla did not go to a Duracell or did not go to an Energizer to produce a battery? How is it that Rivian did not go to a Duracell or Energizer to produce a battery? And this is what you guys do. So I highly recommend you guys step it up, because we're going to start to see an influx of batteries in the home so that we can support all of this energy that's coming in, flowing in, our battery banks, the backup, to charge our EV cars. We're going to have our solar panels and all that going on. So now that that opens up the industry for delivery and installation of batteries to business and residents. That's opening up. Well, we already have the EV market already open, selling EVs and delivering of EV vehicles to people. Okay. The solar panel industry is already open, but it's going to boom even more because a lot more homes are going to start demanding more solar panels now. Okay. And then for the access to the energy, that goes back to the first job, installing and putting these batteries in, bringing them out, installing them, producing them. So there's a lot of jobs within that one sentence that I just said. Probably hundreds of thousands of jobs right there. All right. It's not going to be cheap. Of course not. In a study commissioned by the California Public Utilities Commission, grid analytics company Cavala forecast, I hope I said that right, Cavala forecast that California alone will have to spend $50 billion by 2035 in distribution grid upgrades to meet its ambiguous EV targets. I don't know why they put ambiguous there. I think they meant to say ambitious. To meet its ambitious EV targets. And see, and I just said that California, once we hit a certain year, you're no longer going to be allowed to purchase a gasoline vehicle. Only EV cars will be sold. All right. Major grid infrastructure needs. I'm just constantly talking about jobs. This whole article is just talking about jobs coming. Jobs that are already here and going to expand, or jobs that's coming. All right. Changing electric vehicles is quite electricity intensive. While a direct comparison with appliances depends on many variables, an owner of a new Tesla Model 3 who drives a national average of around 14,000 miles per year would use about the same amount of electricity charging their vehicle at home as they would on their electric water heater over the course of a year, and about 10 minutes more electricity than it would take to power a new energy efficient refrigerator. Larger electric vehicles such as the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is what I said, would generally use more electricity than a central AC unit in a large home. So to me, what I got out of that was the vehicles are starting to become a little bit more energy efficient. Okay. They're starting to operate like regular appliances in your house. Lydia Krefta, Director of Clean Energy Transportation and PG&E, said the utility currently has about 470,000 electric vehicles connected to the grid in its service territory of Northern and Central California, and is aiming for 3 million by 2030. Okay. 470,000 vehicles, electric vehicles, already connected to the grid. That's only one state. 470,000. And they want to be at 3 million. Big feat. I think Cali can do it. By 2030, it's a short window, man. But go for it. Given the PG&E's territory covers about 1 in 7 electric vehicles in the U.S., how it handles the EV transition could serve as a model for the nation. It's no easy task. Man, I just said that, man. I should have wrote this article. The utility is tied up to a 4-year funding cycle for grid infrastructure upgrades, and its last funding request was in 2021. Now that funding will definitely fall short of what's needed, Krefta said. So they had already set out They were already like in motion to try to hit this target because they knew that this boom was coming. They were already ahead of the game and already sought funding so that they can stay ahead of the game, stay ahead of the curve, you know what I'm saying, to try to make sure that they get a jump start on this thing. And it's booming so much that the funding that they did get is now falling short to be able to pursue or proceed with moving forward and building this massive infrastructure. They need more funding. This is going to be huge, man. Um, I'm definitely going to look into some of these jobs. I ain't gonna lie to you. Not even gonna lie to you. I'm finna start looking at different certifications and everything. You know, to, why not? Why not? A lot of analysts that went into that request came from like 2019 or 2020 forecasts. In particular, some of those older EV forecasts that didn't anticipate some of the growth that we believe we're more likely to see now, Krefter said. This situation has PG&E applying for numerous state and federal grants that could help it meet its electrification targets. Y'all already know, man, I got the wife special. That good coffee. I think right now people have an overly simplistic view of what electrification of transportation means, said Kavala, CEO Amram Shumavan. Aram Shumavan. Shumavan. I probably said that right. I probably said it wrong. But when you read the article, you tell me how it's pronounced. Aram Shumavan. All right. And it could be my American tongue is why I'm saying it wrong. All right. If done right, it will be phenomenal. If mismanaged, there are going to be a lot of upset people, and that is a real risk. That is a risk for regulators. That's a risk for politicians. And that's a risk for utilities. Mm. I know that was a real quick sentence. There's going to be a lot of ups. I'm sorry. We got to start from the top. If done right, it will be phenomenal. I have no doubt that California can knock this out the park. They're a really big state. They got a lot of people over there. Um, they have a lot of opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to get this up and running. I really don't see them falling short of this. But things happen, you know. I don't think they want to run the risk, though. You know, if you're going to take on this feat, you should definitely have a guarantee that it's going to work for something this massive. Okay. 50 billion. Yeah, it better work. Okay. You got too many people involved. All right. That's a risk for regulators. That's a risk for politicians. And that's a risk for utilities. Okay. Those are three important sectors that we should not be trying to upset. All right. Here's that word again. Shumavan. I promise it's Shumavan. Said that if grid infrastructure doesn't keep up with the EV boom, drivers can expect charging difficulties such as long queues or only being able to charge at certain times and places. An overly strained grid will also be more vulnerable to extreme weather events and prone to blackouts, which California experienced in 2020. And I remember that. And that was another one of my questions. You know what I'm saying? If we're moving, you know, saying fast and hard into this new electrification, basically moving us into an we're in the era of electricity. What's going to happen when, you know what I'm saying, a transformer or something go down? You know, nobody's going to be, everything is running on electricity. No one's going to be able to charge anything. No one's going to be able to, you know, you can't turn nothing on. What's going to happen? So What's up with the batteries? How fantastic is the battery backup going to be? You know, the most straightforward way to meet growing electricity demand is to bring more is to bring more energy sources online, preferably green ones. But though it's easy to site coal and natural gas plants close to population centers, the best solar and wind resources are usually more rural. And I believe that is because ain't nothing there. This is all open. This is all open. This is a long article, man. So I'm probably going to read, I don't know. I'll read a little bit more, but man, it's a long article. But I'm pretty sure it got a whole lot more information that we're definitely going to need. Uh, but anyway, all right. That means what the U.S. really needs is more high voltage transmission lines. Okay. We need jobs. That's all I heard. We need this. We need the workers that can do it. We need the company that can produce it, or companies that we can contract that could produce them. We need somebody to deliver them, and then we need somebody to install them. That's all I heard. That means what the US really needs is more high voltage transmission lines, which can transport solar and wind resources across county and state lines. Absolutely. Absolutely. But Grimlet said that while we're constantly spending money replacing and upgrading old lines, we're hardly building any new ones. I think we need probably about 20 billion or 30 billion a year on new capacity, new line miles, and new delivery capacity. We're spending close to zero on that right now. I just told y'all that it's on the table. It's being spoke about. It's on the table. Okay? Jobs are coming. This whole article to me is just jobs are coming. You just got to read between the lines. There are major regulatory hurdles when it comes to building new transmission lines, which often cross through multiple counties, states, and utility service areas, all of which need to approve of the line and agree on how to finance it. Okay, no problem. I get what you're saying, but these lines need to go in. They need to go up. You clearly see where the world is moving. State, county, you see where it's going. Okay, we need to run these lines through your county line, through your state line, so we can make sure that your people in your state is able to get what they're supposed to get. So I don't see any, major back and forth on it needing to be done. It's gonna get hung up on the money. It's always gonna get hung up on the money. Everybody is in agreement that this needs to get done. Talk about that money. All right. If you think about a line crossing 2 or 3 dozen different utility territories, you have they have a way to recover their costs on their local system, but they kind of throw up their hands when there's something that benefits 3 dozen utilities. And who's supposed to pay? How much? And how are we going to decide? I told you. Let me read that again because that was a little choppy. If you think about the line crossing 2 or 3 dozen different utility territories, they have a way to recover their costs on their local system, but they kind of throw up their hands when there's something that benefits 3 dozen utilities. And who's supposed to pay? How much? And how are they going to decide? Permitting is a major holdup as well. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense because people, again, of course, they're going to be in agreement of wanting to get it done. But then, saying, permitting the job to get done, permitting, to come on property and stuff like that. Yeah, I could see that being a major holdup. All new energy projects must undergo a series of impact studies to evaluate what new transmission equipment is required, how much it will cost, and who will pay. It's always the money, man. It's always the money. But the list of projects stuck in this process is massive. They already got other projects already stuck in the queue that they trying to work through. Now they trying to put this extremely massive project through the queue. And it's huge. The total amount of electricity generation in the queue, almost of which is renewable, exceeds the total generating capacity on the grid today. Wow. The inflation, this is going to be my last one. I'm going to move on. We're going to move on. All right. The Inflation Reduction Act has the potential to cut emissions by about 1 billion tons by 2030, according to Princeton's REPEAT project. But by this same analysis, if transmission infrastructure build out doesn't more than double its historical growth rate of 1% per year, more than 80% of these reductions could be lost. So I'm going to stop it right there. Just that alone was a lot to unpack. But in a nutshell, how I read it, jobs are going to get expanded and jobs are going to get created. That's what I read. If you heard different, let me know. I'm also going to post the link so you can read it yourself. And if you have a different take on it as to what's being said here, let me know. But that's what I got from it. All right. So you already know what we about to do. We finna move some dollars. Let's go. That's better. Okay. So I have been looking at some stuff, you know what I'm saying? You already know that we're going to do our regular stuff, our S&P, our VO, our VNQ, our, you know what I'm saying? We're going to do all that regular stuff, okay? But there has been a couple of electricity stocks that I've been looking at, okay? One electricity stock I've been looking at is called Next Era, okay? Next Era is an American energy company with about 58 gigawatts of generating capacity. I don't know if you understand how massive that is, but that is massive. Capacity revenues of over 18 billion in 2020 and almost 15,000 employees throughout the US and Canada. It is the largest electric utility holding company by market capitalization. It is the largest. We're definitely finna put in on them for sure. Okay. We have the American Electric Power. We have Duke Energy, and then we have In-Phase Energy. So I was looking at these four: Next Era, American Electric Power, Duke Energy, and In-Phase Energy. Okay. So we're going to take a look and see. First, let's start with our norm. All right. Our whole entire portfolio is up $9.11. We're going to cash out. We going to cash out. We going to cash out. All right. Let's go ahead and get the normies out the way. There's our V and Q. And I hope you guys are following along. Got your apps up and going. We on Robinhood. And this is why it's important for diversification. Okay. Uh, Even though some of our stocks are in the red, our whole entire portfolio is still green. That's why it's important. Okay. And I do this in real time, guys. I'm dropping these I'm dropping these in real time. Okay. All right, so we did our VNQ, our VOO, S&P, the normies. Okay. Not Tesla. And then there's another company, um, which you heard me mention earlier, was Rivian. Tesla moved $18 today. That's fantastic. Which is Rivian. So let's go up to our hourglass. Let's see if we can find it. Rivian Automotive. RIVN is their ticker. I think Rivian is gonna be a competitor for real, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, they already produce all of Amazon's, not all of them, but the newer ones, the new electric ones. That's all Rivian. So I definitely see them being a competitor for real. I'm actually gonna switch this to stocks or shares. I'm actually gonna buy a whole share of that. Cool. And you don't have to buy a whole share because I bought a whole share. You can go ahead and spend $1. It's fine. Perfectly fine. Just put in. Just put in. All right. Okay. Now, let's see if Next Era is on here on Robinhood. Okay. I want to get these guys. We're going to go with NEE. Make sure this is the right one. Did I pass it? I did. Transmission distribution. Yep. Switch back to dollars. Switch back to dollars. Bam. That's it. Okay, so there's the next one that I want to find. Let's add to the list. Let's see if American Electric Power, right here. AEP is their ticker. They're up $1.12 today. Let's get rid of that 77 cent. Boom. All right. Then not the last one. The next one was Duke Energy. Right here. DUK. They're up 95 cents. Notice, if you're paying attention, notice all the ones we went in so far, they're all green. They all green, man. Okay, and then the last one, and then we gonna get out of here. Okay. Let's put the last one on there. In phase. M. ENPH is their ticker. ENPH is their ticker. They up $2.07 today, and it costs almost $170 to buy a whole share. That will put me down to 100 even my buying power. Yep. So I'm at 100 even on my buying power. All right, so go back, replay this video, go listen to me read through, you know what I'm saying, a lot of that article. There's still a lot more to read. Okay, so I highly recommend that you take it upon yourself to read this. But for me to sum it up, if I had to sum it up, I told you, all I heard was jobs. Okay, either expanding on previous jobs that are already there, or creating new jobs so that they can, you know what I'm saying, take on this humongous, massive infrastructure upgrade. So hopefully you guys got something out of this today. I do like to do my best to try to foresee the future. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not a fortune teller, nothing like that. But I really watch and pay attention, you know what I'm saying, to how the cheese is moving. You know, right now it's looking like the cheese is going to move into AI and electricity. So this is definitely something that we need to watch and keep an eye on. I saw this coming actually a few years back when California made the announcement that, hey, you know what I'm saying, by this time, we're no longer going to sell gasoline vehicles, you know, not allowed to be sold here. So I don't know if that, you know what I'm saying, stems over to private sales. I have no clue. But I do know dealerships aren't allowed to sell gasoline vehicles. So that's it. That's all I got for y'all, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I am Midas, and this is Monday, blah, 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 blah. This is Money Mondays with Midas, man. And make sure you tune in to the next one. Please make sure that you checking in Tuesday, Fridays, and Saturdays for the original Extraordinary Men podcast. We definitely got a lot of content for you guys to check out. We went real deep talking about TV dads and why they were special to us. And I believe that a lot of you guys out there can relate to, our commentary, speaking on a lot of those dads, what they brought to the table, what we learned from them, what we got out of the show. Um, Make sure you check out I Hate My Job. Man, there's so much content on there, man. So, all it is just delivering perspective, what we think about it, putting our little sauce on it, saucing them ribs up, and then serving it to you guys to, give feedback, think about it, create, commentary around it. And that's it, man. That's all we're doing here. We're just trying to get you to think. All right. So again, appreciate you rocking with me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.